Let's take you back now to Diepkloof, Soweto, as time is racing against Eskom's deadline for prepaid meter recoding draws nearer. The power utility, as you know, has warned that failing to update the meters will result in disconnections, leaving many scrambling to comply. However, long queues and technical challenges have sparked frustration, with calls for an extension growing louder. Our anchor Ayanda Nyathi is at the Eskom Service Centre and he joins us again for the latest. And of course, Ayanda, what is critical here to know is that this is a worldwide phenomena and that, in fact, that deadline cannot be extended.
Absolutely, Udati, and it seems it's that exact message that is difficult to digest for many people who have been here for hours in Diepkloof. We've been showing you some of the visuals. There are waves of what seems to be pockets of unrest. As you can imagine, people having strong disagreements, for lack of a better term, as they approach the front of this line, because in many instances, by the time that happens, they would have spent, some of them, more than 24 hours, they say, trying to get assistance. But even once they get through those gates, Unati, it's still unclear what the process inside actually is. I mean, we've spoken to many of them off air who've told us, for example, that all that's been asked of them is for their phone number and some kind of card on their meters. It's still unclear at this point what's going to happen to that. But just in case you've just joined us, the situation in Diepkloof has been like this literally for a couple of days now. Many of the residents here concede that they haven't been paying for electricity for years and are worried that by the time the cutoff date comes on Sunday, their meters will become inoperable, as have been communicated by Eskom officials for some time. A secondary issue that they've raised is that they feel the message hasn't been sent to the depths of communities like this. Eskom, in their own defense, said they've been holding this campaign since August last year, but in many instances, residents here are saying the message simply hasn't landed in their homes where it matters most. There's also been questions about whether or not the power utility could not have created more centers closer to the communities where they come from. I mean, we're in Diepkloof, but we've spoken to a resident from Middlelands, which is a couple of kilometers from here. He's told us that he's had to go through a number of communities in order to arrive here. He's among those people who've been here since last night, he says, and went inside, was told to put down his number and this meter number, and was told to go home and wait for some kind of SMS. So what we're going to try and do, Unati, you'll forgive our shot, we're actually going to try once again to get you a sense of what the line is looking like as we try delatch our camera from the tripod. So forgive us for the brief instability as we take you through this particular line in Diepkloof and get you a sense of some of the sentiments from the residents here, because as you can imagine, tempers are flaring. There's a chair that's been brought out for an elderly lady here who we have spotted, who's been here for quite some time. Completely untenable, Unati, when you think about it. We're just going to show you those visuals of this lady, that somebody at this particular stage of their life would have to come here and spend hours. I'm tempted to go and just get you a sense of what is being discussed, but if our experience so far this morning is anything to go by, the lady there with the Eskom shirt has been uncomfortable speaking on air. She says she's not authorized to speak, but let's take a chance and see if maybe we can just get a sense of what they're saying.
What is a click phakathi?
And like clockwork, she stops engaging the lady there. But nonetheless, I think the story is quite clear, and we're going to try take you to the front of this queue where there were skirmishes earlier on. I mean, we were told of some kind of list that has been put together, but to be honest with you, Onati, it's still unclear how this list was assembled, who is on it, and what the plan is, because it's just literally a piece of paper with names that are handwritten. That's been the system, if I can call it that, for the past couple of hours. But still very unclear, as I mentioned, who was on that list and whether or not, in fact, this will become a long-term solution. So we're going to try and gauge a few more of the residents who are towards the tail end of this queue. In fact, we'll try to get you a sense of how the situation is looking like beyond the gates of this particular area. especially because there have been people in the past who have suggested to us that they're willing to stay here for as long as it takes in order, of course, to get the help that they need in this queue. But there you have it, a very different situation, if you like, people firmly stationed on their chairs. Perhaps I can engage this gentleman over here to get us a sense of his thoughts. Sanibona bhuti kunjani?
Khona malume?
Siyaphila. Sokudlula isikhathi esingakanani wena umile la?
It's been more than 10 hours since I came here at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And what's your understanding around what you need to do here?
Firstly, what I have to do, I have to upgrade my cash point so that it could get back to where it was, the state it was, because now we're not working, mostly. So coming to buying electricity has become a very big issue for South Africans. Mostly of us, hence you can see over there you've got people all the way from Meadowlands, Orlando, and also Diepkloof. So it's mixed in one place. So the government didn't organize this properly.
Yeah. Well, Eskom has said that, if you are paying for your electricity, it would have been very easy to upgrade your meters by now. So I suppose the suggestion is that a lot of people in this queue haven't been paying.
Yes, it shows that. Hence you can see how the amount of people are coming just to solve that problem. So yes, most of the people, they don't buy electricity. But since we saw that it's a major problem, yes, we are willing to pay. Right. We're willing to.
So you're also in the same boat?
Yes.
And what do you reckon the solution is?
The solution is, I think they have to give us a flat rate, whereby they will tell us what kind of amount that we have to pay end of the month. Surely, yes, most of us South Africans can just win with that.
All right. In the past, Eskom officials have tried to come here in Soweto. They hadn't had a great time because they've been chased away. Are you saying the sentiment around that has changed? People are now willing to comply?
Yeah, I'm thinking that has changed a lot because now South Africans are willing to stand up on themselves and make it on their own. So yes, I do suggest that, yes, we can win as South Africans.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. We appreciate it. So there you have it, the sentiment of one gentleman here who I think has been reflecting the sentiments of many others who are present here, who have conceded, that yes, in the past, perhaps years, decades, we haven't necessarily complied, but we are willing now to actually do that. And in a way, hopefully we'll be able to get people to help us to get us to that point. And that's the point I made earlier on, Unathi, that, what happens in a situation where people have heard the message, they have been told that if in fact your meter hasn't been upgraded because you haven't been paying, it's about to be inoperable. They've responded to that by coming here but aren't receiving the help they need. That's certainly been the kind of situation we've been able to read at the moment. And as I mentioned, the Corporate Governance MEC, Jacob Mamabolo, has been inside probably now for more than an hour. Outside of that, Unathi, it's difficult to tell the story from the vantage point of officials. Given how tight-lipped they are, you almost get a sense that, as the many residents here are saying, this is completely disorganized. They are completely outnumbered insofar as being able to respond to the demand, and the officials inside themselves don't really have a system about how to control what's taking place here. So we'll try telling the story as best as we can. Once again, standing by for the MEC to come out and give us the side of government's story, as I get my words mixed up, in order to get to the point where we can finally send through a clear and coherent message around what people who are willing to comply ought to do now that they have more than 2 days to get this right.
What we do know for certain is just that there is this deadline that on Sunday at 8:15 in the evening, many prepaid electricity meters in South Africa, and in fact, as we've been told, the rest of the world, will stop accepting these new credit tokens unless people recode their meters. Well, plenty of uncertainty and of course a lot of frustration where you are certainly, Ayanda, but thank you so much for that. We'll certainly come back to you a little bit later on. Ayanda Nyathi is an anchor here at the SABC. Of course, he is in Diepkloof. We've got other reporters stationed elsewhere where also there are long queues that have been reported.